FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, good morning and welcome into the Monday edition of the JP Peterson Show. We got a ton to get to today. A huge weekend in sports, especially locally here. And unfortunately, we have to begin with a horrific story that broke over the weekend and just so heart-wrenching, frankly. Good morning to you, Nick Geddes. Hope you had a great weekend. And, of course, we're speaking of Shaq Barrett. God, just one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in your life. And it's the scariest thing that could ever happen to parents. And, you know, being a dad of two is something we always worried about. His 2-year-old daughter drowned in the swimming pool. 350 kids in America a year this happens to. And trust me when I tell you that there was probably every precaution taken in that home that this would not happen. But it still happens way too frequently around just because of the sheer numbers and how deadly it can be. It is a silent killer. You don't hear a splash. You don't hear screams. Nothing. And it is gut-wrenching. And I don't pretend to know Shaq Barrett and his family really, really well, but the interactions I've had with him, you never go away not feeling good. Shaq is always smiling. He's always pleasant. He's just one of those people that you always want to be around. His wife is lovely. I've seen her in a few of the many, many charity events that they do. They have 3 other children, and it's just gut-wrenching. It's just gut-wrenching on every level. A Sunday morning at 9:30, I believe, they found her, took her to the hospital. She was pronounced dead there, and it sickens me. It sickens me. There's no words to really comfort them. You know, if you're a religious person, as I am, you pray that God will give them peace in some way. I don't know how you come back from things like this as a parent. I literally every day I do my gratitude check, and the first thing I do is thank the Lord for the health of my children, and because of days like this. And it's horrific. And, you know, we just pass on our prayers and thoughts and healing vibe, whatever you want to do, to Shaq Barrett.
Yeah, I echo everything you said for sure. And, you know, he's one of the good guys, and his family are one of the good families. And when bad things happen to good people, it's the worst. And any time something like this happens, you know, I haven't reached the stage of parenthood yet, but I know you have, and so many others can relate to this. Yeah. And I imagine it has to be the most scary thing to even think about, losing one of your kids, and especially at 2 years old. And you know, I think she just had celebrated her birthday not too long ago, and I was looking at the pictures on Instagram, and and that just the whole family. They got 3 other kids, and it's hard to put into words. It really is.
Yeah, we didn't have a pool at our home, but my in-laws did, and my kids spent a lot of time over there. And you know, did the fence thing and the alarm thing and all those that you put around the pool. You do as much as you can, and I'm sure the Barretts have done all that. And you don't blame anybody. It's just these things happen, and they're just horrible. And anyway, our thoughts and prayers going out to him and his family. But it was a huge weekend in sports, and we're gonna get to the disappointment that was the Tampa Bay Lightning. But for some reason, I just don't feel as crushed as I thought I might. I certainly don't feel as crushed as the Boston Bruins fans feel this morning. There's no question about that. After losing Game 7 to the Panthers last night, so we'll get into that. The Bucs draft, I think, is been so interesting, and a lot of interesting players. We're going to talk a lot about their backgrounds and who they are and what impact they may have, short term, long term. The Rays had some very interesting, weird games this weekend, but they're continue to roll, no question about that, and lots of stuff. And what Steph did yesterday in Game 7, I don't know if you saw any of that.
Oh, I did.
Holy hell, that was unbelievable to watch. It was I didn't watch the game itself. I watched watched the long form of the highlights. It was like the Globe. It was like Curly Neal out there. What the hell? It was like watching the Globetrotters. It was insane. First person to ever score 50 in a Game 7.
I'm surprised that's never been done before.
Yeah, me too. But it just goes to show how hard it is to do.
Yeah.
I mean, these are typically really, scoring any basket in a Game 7 should be very difficult. To score 50 points in the manner that he did it at age 35 he's now, and now they can move on to play the Lakers. Yeah. So we'll get into all that. So we'll start this morning with the Tampa Bay Lightning as they get ousted from the playoffs, and we'll get to the draft here in just a second. You don't have to wait too long. It's so apropos that they lose in overtime at home on a goal that is just thrown at the net haphazardly, hits off Darren Radish's skate, and goes into the freaking net. And Vassie never saw it. That's the way this series should end. No question about it. A complete fluke goal, which most of them were. And listen, I'm not here to take anything away from Toronto, but you're not the better team in this series. You just weren't. Yeah, you weren't. I mean, I want to sit there, and I know that you will hear from Cooper and the guys that give all the flowers to Toronto, but the bottom line is they were not the better team. You look at the analytics, look at the eye test, look at anything you want to look at. The Lightning were dominating that game in the first period, certainly. For most of that game, they outshot them, they outchanced them, they out everything. They just, as Steven Stamkos said, they could not capitalize on their opportunities. And these are not bad players. They're great shooters. They're everything that we know that they are. They just had a bad series shooting the puck. I can maybe think of a handful of saves that Samsonov made. But the bottom line is he was better at keeping the puck out of the net than Vasilevsky was. Is he better than Vassie? Hell freaking no. Not even close. Not even close. And I'm here to tell you, Toronto ain't going anywhere. They're not winning anything. They're not. They were not impressive to me. And I know you can look at the stats, and Marner and Matthews had some, and they were certainly, they put up more points than the Lightning top line.
Oh, boy.
No question about it. But I still can't sit here and go, oh, they were the dominant force in this series. They got a lot of tip-ins, a lot of garbage goals. I know I sound like a homer, and I know I sound like somebody who works for the Tampa Bay Lightning, but I'm not the only analyst that has said this.
I agree with everything you said, and I might sound like sour grapes, but I agree with you. This team's going nowhere. I sat there and watched that entire game again, and after the game ended and I saw the goal go in, I sat on my couch for like 30 minutes after, just staring at the TV. Didn't say a word, no reaction, and I'm just in my head. I keep going over every game, and I'm like, it's just, to sum it up, it's the series that got away. It's really what it is. I'm like, how can you play this well in about 90% of this series and somehow lose in 6? How can you lose 3 straight games at home in overtime?
That you dominated.
How can that happen? And even in overtime, it's like the Lightning came out and they had the play. It carried over from the third.
Yeah.
And Toronto gets one spell in their zone, and they do a really good job on the boards. I'm not going to give them credit there. Tavares was a beast. He was a beast on that final shift, and just thrown in the net. It was so apropos.
Yeah.
The Lightning just couldn't get a bounce. And listen, it's part of it. It's part of it. Stamkos said you don't get to 3 Stanley Cups without getting the bounces. You don't, right?
Yeah.
But just for the fact for 6 games to not get just a single one, it felt like. I mean, it's just hard to reconcile with. And so, like, everybody's saying, oh, well, this has been such a great run and everything, and I said it too, and it's over. Like, we're looking at it like it's over. It's hard for me to say that because of how good they played. This has been a rocky year, and I think they played their best hockey when it mattered.
They did.
And they got nothing to show for it.
They did.
Truthfully.
I mean, when I sit here and say Lightning should have won this series in 5, it's true. It's true. They should have won this series in 5. And they lost it in 6. And they lost 3 games in a row at home in overtime. All 3 games they should have won.
Yeah, and
all 3 games they should have won.
And you mentioned the star players, and I got the numbers right here. I'll read them out. Point, 2 goals, 2 assists.
Listen,
2 points, 5 on 5.
Let's just before we go through the whole thing, Braden Point.
He wasn't close to 100%.
Thank you for giving it the effort. But my God,
not even close.
What's it going to be? Three cracked ribs, His shoulder popped out. They popped it back in. I mean,
yeah, I'm not
just a shell of the
yeah,
player.
he
For the
wasn't
second
close.
straight year, we go out without having Braden Point available for the majority of our critical games.
Agreed. So he had 2 points, 5 on 5. Stamkos 2 goals, 2 assists. Meh. Kucherov had a goal and 5 assists, but he had 2 points, 5 on 5. That's it. And it had been no goals, 3 assists. And then you contrast that to Toronto: 5 goals, 4 assists for Matthews, 4 goals, 4 assists for Tavares, 2 goals, 9 assists for Marner, 2 goals, 5 assists for Nylander, 3 goals, 5 assists for Riley.
Yeah.
I mean, the big guy, and Ryan O'Reilly may not be on the score sheet much, but I'd be damned if there wasn't a shift that guy won every single time.
Yeah.
So, again, as much as it is the series that got away and the Lightning outplayed them, the Lightning got depth scoring, which was the biggest question mark we had in regards to the forward group, was that they get depth scoring.
Yeah.
The top line let them down. And, again, there's reasons for that. Point not being what he was.
That's the number one reason.
But, Kucherov, we talked about it, is an all-time playoff player. And he is. But he just did not take over games like he used to.
I would say the most effective thing that the Toronto did in this series were their cheap shots. They took Chernak out of the series from game one? Mm-hmm. They took Chernak out of the series on a cheap shot from Bunting, took him out. And one of the key defenders that we needed in this, that blocked shots, that probably could have kept some of those tip-ins from going, probably could have cleared the zone when they had extended zone time that got some of these garbage goals in. Huge loss. And the cheap shot on Braden Point, pushing him into the boards, extending your arms, Riley, and taking him out. To me, those were the 2 biggest plays of the series. Wrong?
It changed the series.
Changed the series. No question about it. In a series where the Lightning still were the better team. With both of those guys out, they were still the better team.
Yeah.
And they lost the series. And look, I'm going to sit here and say this. Could this Lightning team have won the Stanley Cup? I don't know. It's wide open. The Abs are out now. Boston's out now. I mean, could they have it? To me, what the Abs going out and Boston shows me more than anything else is how incredible this run has been from the Lightning.
Oh, yeah.
Winning 11 of 12 series over the last 3 years. Well, it's 11 of 13 now. Over the last 4 years. As consistent as they have been when it can be so capricious, winning or losing series in the NHL. It's a coin flip almost every series, and they won 11 of 12 in 2 cups.
And clearly, too, this is going to be the year of the team that hasn't gotten one in a while.
Yes.
I mean, of everyone's available. You got 3 teams that have never won one. The last team to win one that's still standing is Carolina in 2006. So we're going back, 17 years there? And we got 4 teams that haven't won one since we had 3 haven't won since one's in the 90s, and we have Toronto hasn't won one since 1967. So somebody's going to break a long streak here.
Who do you think it is?
My gut is telling me that this is Edmonton's year. Every game I watched in that series, McDavid and Draisaitl are
dominant.
I mean, every time I'm sometimes maybe I'm in and out of the game, I have it in the background, and I hear a goal, and I look up, and I'm like, oh, it's McDavid. Oh, it's Draisaitl.
McDavid feels like he can score every time he gets
if
the
they
puck.
want to, they can.
It just feels like if he goes to the net, that nobody's going to touch him. I just feel like that.
Yeah. So I think
or
they're
he's going
there.
to make a play to create a dangerous chance.
I think they're there, and I tell you what. I think the Florida Panthers are onto something. And you want to know why? You want to know why?
Why?
This whole thing about being really good in the regular season
Right.
and then learning from the team, they got their ass handed to them last year by the Lightning after they won the President's Trophy.
They did.
And now they've come back this year, perceived to be a little worse on paper, squeak into the playoffs, right? Maybe the Panthers were doing what the Lightning had been doing. They were conserving.
Right.
Turning it on at the end, getting to the playoffs, elevating your game.
I think they were trying to figure out their team.
That
you
too.
know,
They had a new
but
head
they figured
coach.
it out. They figured it out.
Implementing a couple new players and
Takes
stuff.
some time. And Matthew
figured it
Tkachuk
out.
is a freaking
Matthew Tkachuk has changed that team.
he totally changed that
And
team.
I don't think you believe in Toronto that much.
No, Toronto's not going anywhere.
I think Florida's getting past them.
Yeah. I think Florida beats them.
We'll see what happens with the Rangers and Devils. They're going to have a game 7. And I don't think Carolina has the scoring to get it done. So
No, and they're too hurt.
So I think Florida has a good path. So right now I'm feeling Edmonton and Florida.
I'm rooting for the Kraken, though. Yanni Gordon, the Kraken.
Great story.
Yeah, I'm rooting for them. I would love to see them bust through. That would be fun. Let's hear from you want to hear the Tavares game-winning goal? You have it on my sheet.
I mean, I feel like I had to add it.
Yeah. Who's the call?
Sportsnet.
Let's
So I'll give you this is
how the Lightning season ended.
the Canadian call here.
Yeah. Let's see how much.
Tavares keeps it going, and it's John Tavares behind the net. Coming out in front. John scores! John Tavares! They finally caught lightning in a bottle! And the Maple Leafs have broken the 19-year curse!
Sounds like a borderline home game to me.
Yeah. I couldn't hear that, unfortunately.
Oh, you couldn't hear that?
No, for some reason there was. We have a setting here that's not allowing me to hear that one because it might be mono or whatever. I can only imagine. I'm kind of glad I didn't hear it, to be quite honest with you. It was just, sitting up. We were sitting up there in the Chase Club. I'm watching the game with Bradley. We had an incident in the Chase Club.
An incident?
Yeah, we had an incident. There was this jackass up there with an Alabama hat on. You know who you are. Just grotesquely harassing women.
Oh, my.
Including my girlfriend and Bradley's wife. Yeah, we're doing some investigation to find out who this guy was. Grotesquely harassing women. So much so that women had to leave their seats. It was anyway. It will be dealt with.
Wait, speaking of the Chase Club, did you see Edge and Christian in the Chase Club by chance?
Who?
Edge and Christian.
Who?
The wrestlers.
No, I don't even know who they are.
You don't know who Edge is?
No, I have no idea who Edge is.
Oh, my gosh.
I have no idea who Edge and Christian are.
Oh, my God. Well, they were rooting on the Maple Leafs. They're both from Toronto.
Oh, get lost.
But they were in the Chase Club.
Get lost. Well, show me a picture of them. Maybe I saw them. Are they big galoots?
Huh?
Are they big, normally you can
not,
peg wrestlers,
I don't think you'd probably think.
No?
No. Edge is one of the greatest of all time. There they were. There they were.
No, didn't see them. Yeah. Didn't see them.
Yeah, they're right there. They're in the Chase Club.
No, I did not see them. If I saw those two guys, they would not.
And then here they were after they got the final goal.
If I saw those two guys, I would not say, oh, those are wrestlers.
I thought you would know Edge, but again,
no,
whatever.
Of course not. Of course not.
Whatever. See, look at that. They're coming at you in the comments. Oh, come on, JP.
I have no idea.
One of the best wrestling duos of all time.
Junkyard Dog and Dusty Rhodes.
Edge's main event to the WrestleMania.
If you can't touch a Junkyard Dog and Dusty Rhodes, Edge and whoever cannot touch Dusty Rhodes. Don't come at me with Edge and Christian. I got Dusty Rhodes and the Junkyard Dog, or Andre the Giant.
Edge's main event to the WrestleMania. Thank you.
Shut up. Give me Dusty Rhodes. Give me Dusty Rhodes and Andre the Giant.
Dusty Rhodes at his polka dots.
That's Dusty Rhodes, the bionic elbow. He gets some of this Edge. Shut up, all you newfangled wrestling people. Come on. I got time for you. If you ain't got Gordon Soley on the mind, then forget it. Yeah, let's hear from Coop after the game. I thought he was very pragmatic after the game.
Debate of who is the better team. They beat us 4-2, so statistics say they were the better team than us. But
we all know.
Do I sit here and think we could have really done anything different to change the tide? No. We played well enough to win the series. I think anybody that watched this series would agree with that. But you can't lose 3 overtime games at home. If you're not going to win a home game, it's really tough to win a series. And we had the lead in Game 3 and gave it up with a minute left. We had a 4-1 lead in Game 4 and gave that one up. And this one we had to come from behind, but still you're 3 games in overtime, regardless of how you think the territory of the game's going. If you can't pull those out, then it's tough to win. And that's where I give Toronto credit. Even when they were being leaned on by us, they were opportunistic. They capitalized on plays they had to, and when it came for our turn for that to happen, we couldn't capitalize.
Anybody
John,
else?
after everything this team has been through the past 3 years and the long runs and the successes, you talked this morning about how much fun these moments are. I mean, how empty does it feel kind of right now? I know it's only been about 10 minutes after the game, but...
Listen, this team hasn't lost a playoff series in the Eastern Conference since 2019.
about
It's
that?
2023. We're not used to this feeling. So you sit here and do this press conference 10 minutes after the game ended. It's I don't know. I can't even think of the word, but it just doesn't feel good. But like I said, I think there's 31 other teams in the league that would love to have our history here in the last 10 years, 5 years, 3 years. That's why this is difficult, because usually we're on the other side of this press conference and I'm going second as the winning coach. So at some point, you're not going to get the break. It's just the way it is. Or teams would win like 15 cups in a row. And for a team and an organization that has really struggled in the playoffs, at some point they were going to get a break. It sucks. It was series against us.
I mean, it's kind of what I had said coming into the series, that I thought Toronto was eventually going to break through. It just doesn't sit well with me. Again, how it turned out is how they had to break through. It doesn't sit well with me. But again, that's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's been some better Lightning teams than the ones that won the Cup, truthfully. But it didn't shake out that way, right? I mean, That's typically how it goes. I mean, look. I mean, again, Boston serves as another great example of that.
And I don't think what Cooper said about, we're not going to debate who the better team was, is basically him saying we were the better team.
They know it.
We were the better team.
Everybody in that dressing room knows it.
And I don't want to say puck luck is what determines who wins games in the NHL playoffs. But, damn it, it's true. Sometimes you watch a lot of this stuff and you go, flip a coin. You got to be good enough to be in the hunt, obviously. You got there's so much that goes into it. And when you have two evenly matched teams, often puck luck is the difference. And I think a lot of it went Toronto's way. I think they got a lot of good, calls that went their way. Disallowed goal in Game 4 certainly could have been the difference in the series.
And even look at the last two games. I mean, the first 4 games, what were we talking about? Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
Vasilevsky this, Vasilevsky that, right? And then we kind of said, okay, well, look at the long-range shots and all the deflections. Like, that's going to go away eventually.
Right.
And in the last 2 games, it went away.
Yeah.
And he gives up, 4 goals in the last 2 games? If you
Yeah.
told me that going into Game 5 and 6, I'd tell you the Lightning won both games.
But of
The
all
scoring
the goals,
of the Lightning dried up, too. It just all of a sudden there.
Yeah. Of all those goals, which ones do you think were bad goals?
In the last 2 or
Yeah,
just
in the last
in
two.
the last 2 games?
Yeah. I mean, the other ones, we went through those. A lot of tip-ins. The
I think
tying
maybe-
goal in Game 3 is you got to have.
I think
the
maybe
tying and winning goals in Game 3.
Yeah, maybe in Game 5, the first Riley goal where he kind of walks in a little bit.
Oh,
maybe.
Again,
But even then, it's a pretty good shot, I guess.
Yeah, look where the scoring area is and how wide open it is. And I'm like,
The
what
second one's not on him there. And then in this game, I mean, listen, Austin Matthews scored 60 goals for a reason. I mean, that was
he's
a
a good
bullet.
Yeah,
That
it
was
was
a
a bullet.
bullet.
Yeah.
And so I don't blame Vasilevsky at all for that one. And clearly, there's nothing you could do about the last one. And he looked like in complete shock.
He was. In complete shock.
He didn't know where that puck was. It's like he was looking around for it again after it was already behind him.
And that puck was going way wide.
So it's another case of I thought Vasilevsky played his best game of the series by far in this one. And again, doesn't get rewarded for it.
And you can't say, well, the offense was. They had so many chances.
They peppered the guy.
So many chances.
They peppered Samsonov all game. I mean, Kucherov missed a wide open on a backhand earlier.
Yeah.
Nick Paul getting more chances and not able to convert. Stamkos was in tight. I mean, that was the best save Samsonov made was early in the first period where there was a shot. I want to say it might have been from Point or Kucherov, and there was a rebound, juicy rebound out for Stamkos.
Yeah.
And Samsonov somehow got his paddle on it and deflected away, and the puck was so close to rolling in, and Nyes kind of sweeped it out.
Yep.
But then Samsonov had a bad rebound later, and Stamkos got it back then, obviously.
Knocked it in.
Yeah, I mean,
Nick
you
Paul,
put on it, putting a lot of pucks into his chest, really.
Yeah, Nick Paul had opportunities. Hagel.
Mikey Asamont in overtime.
Overtime.
I saw that. I thought that was it, man. I was like, Mikey Asamont's going to be the guy.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be the guy.
And if we get to Game 7 in Toronto, they're not winning that game.
I know,
Toronto's not winning that game.
I got the feeling if the Lightning would have won that one, they would have got 7.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question here, because there were a couple other like little sub storylines within the series and the game. I got to bring it up. Tanner Jeannot scratched for 2 games in a row. They gave up 5 picks, including a first rounder, in Cal Foot to get this guy, and he scratched for 2 games. Your feeling on that?
Bad matchup.
Should he have been scratched to begin with? I'm not debating if Mikey Eyssimont wants to get in there, but should somebody else have been scratched?
Let's just look at it this way. As we move forward, Maroon, Perry, Belmar,
Probably all
gone. We got 3 openings. He's going to get one of them. All right?
That's true.
If not higher on the,
But just in this series, for what he was brought in the Capitol, we thought he was going to play a role, and I thought he played okay enough to stay in the lineup generally.
Yeah.
I mean, just personally speaking, I would have taken Pat Maroon out of the lineup. I thought he was just kind of slow plotting, not really doing much.
Hard to disagree.
I agree with getting Eyssimont in the lineup.
Yeah, hard to disagree. That's where it comes down to. And the Lightning, and look,
Not saying that this would have played a big role and everything.
I'm just here to say is like how much, I'm not going to second guess John Cooper in that situation. He knows a hell of a lot more about what his players can do and where they're at and he is not one to play favorites. I think people would say take an issue with that a little bit.
That's fine. I'm just trying to see, we got to evaluate this trade at some point, and some will argue
it's too early.
Some will argue it's too early, but it's just not a great look, though. Regardless, to pay that much for a player who scored 1 goal when he was here, and he was brought in to be a physical presence in the playoffs, and he's scratched for the last 2 games. Yeah, it's not a good look necessarily.
Well, I think also, you got to stay out of the penalty box. That is more than anything. And who, if there's one guy out there that Toronto could bait into getting the power play, Tanner Jeannot. Because he thinks that's what he needs to do. It's not time for that. It's just not time for that. And one power play could have been the difference in any of these. That's another thing, by the way. The Lightning power play was not
no show.
No showed.
No show.
When they needed it most, there were a bunch of opportunities in the series. We went, we got a power play. Let's go.
What was the last power play goal they scored in the series? Are we going back to game 3 or game 2?
Maybe game 3, maybe.
I mean, complete no-show.
Yeah, and certainly not when we needed it.
And now let me ask you about the second.
PK was good.
The PK was really good
against that power play.
Yeah. Let me ask you the second subplot. The Brandon Hagel non-call.
Oh my God!
The end of the third period.
Oh my God! I wish I had a picture of from behind him as he takes it in the chops and looks up at the official who's literally 3 feet away from him.
Yeah.
And with the just looking at him like in open ice, with everybody to see, the world to see. How do you not make that call? I understand you don't want to. I just from a sheer. I've been reffing games my entire life. When you see something like that, your hand has to go up. Like it should be instinctual. I don't want you thinking about time and score and as an official. That's instinctual. Well, the dude took a freaking stick in the chops. It was right in front of you.
Yeah, I said
How do you not make that call?
I said it on Twitter. It's like I do understand. I understand in a tense playoff game, the moment, the magnitude. You don't want to be the guy that has to call a penalty. I understand that. But when it's that blatant. Like to me, it's like a high stick is a high stick.
Yeah.
You hit somebody in the face with the stick, it's a high stick. Yeah. And especially a guy who's barreling down and trying to, push forward there on a one-on-one in a tie game, and you impeded his progress.
Yeah.
With the high stick, and you're literally looking right at it 3 feet away. I mean, that to me is just egregious. It wasn't a missed call. It was I decided not to call.
Right.
I'm just going to put it out there.
And why?
I'm just going to put it out there. TJ Luxmore, the referee from Timmins, Ontario. Not too far from Toronto, so do with that information what you will.
Interesting.
And that's, again, but it comes when you're trying not to affect the game. By not calling the obvious, you just affected the game.
Yes.
And the double side coin to that, though, is we just talked about how abysmal the Lightning power play was.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard to go down this rabbit hole, but did I have much confidence they were going to convert on a power play if they got another one? I don't know. The Stars weren't the Stars clearly in this series, so But again, you got to call it.
Yeah.
You have to call the penalty in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it. And you go back to the first period of Game 6, the Lightning, because I remember this when I did my intermission report. They out-hit them 16-10, outshot them. I should remember the exact numbers as I said I was going to. They dominated the first period. No score. No score. You've got to be able to make those opportunities count. Let's listen to Stamkos, and I think he really, really summed up this series, and when he's done, I'm going to tell you what the silver lining is in this whole thing.
Here, let me cue him up real quick.
Because and again, Stamkos got the tying goal.
He did.
It was a big moment, no question about it. But he had many, many opportunities to do something special and just could not convert. And I think, he talked about those missed opportunities, and I think he was probably the biggest offender.
And where did it kind of fall apart for you guys there?
I thought it was a series of just missed opportunities for our group. 3 overtime losses at home in games where I thought we were the better team. It's funny how that works. I thought we played better this year in the series than we did last year. It's just, that's a really good hockey team over there, and we saw what happened last year. It went 7. This year an even better team, made some really good moves at the deadline, and got in some really good players, and we knew it was going to be a grind, but you got to give our guys credit too. We battled. It was just, we let some games slip away and missed opportunities. We felt good about our game and our game plan, but you got to give them credit too. They battled. That's what good teams do at this time of the year. You might not always deserve to win, but you grind and you find a way, and they got some really good players over there that had a hell of a series. So, it's a tough moment because the run that we've been on the last 3 years has been amazing, and anytime you don't get to that level, it feels like a failure because of the season and the group that we have in here. But again, that's a really good hockey team over there, and they found a way to win 4 games, so they deserve credit.
So 3 overtimes here on home ice, a place that you've had the second best record in the NHL this year. It seemed like you had played well in the extra periods, but the bounces just weren't going your way.
Yeah, it's to go far in the playoffs, you need some bounces, but you create your own bounces too. And like I said, they got some good bounces, but you deserve that. You create them, but in order to go deep in the playoffs, you need some bounces to go away. We've been a beneficiary of that the last 3 years. To go to the Stanley Cup final 3 years in a row, you need some good puck luck, and we didn't have that in this series, I don't think.
I think you summed that up really, really well there. Absolutely. And I think the silver lining is, look, I don't think the Lightning were going to win the Cup this year. And now they get a full offseason, in essence, to really recover. I think Point may have to have some kind of surgery on his shoulder. Don't know yet. We'll see.
Maybe Victor, maybe?
What's that?
Maybe
Victor's
again?
probably going to have a hip surgery, I would think. Guys just need to get, I think this team needs to get faster and needs to get younger, which I think they'll do on the 4th line. Breezeball will find a way.
Yeah, it's time to phase out not to say veterans don't help, but here's the thing. This team has played so much hockey.
Yeah.
They already are. I know I'm saying, like, Cirelli's a veteran.
Yeah. But he's only 26.
I know they're young, but like as much hockey as they've played in the playoffs, like to me that's your play. They all have the veteran makeup that you need to win a Stanley Cup. So I don't think you necessarily have to keep going after the 37, 38-year-old guys to fill out a 4th line. Now they've had to do that because they just don't have money.
Right.
That's part of it.
Getting veterans who want to win a cup to come here and play, and play cheap and give you a little bit. And you might be able to find some.
But
guys
as your
like that,
core gets older, though,
as
your core gets older, then you start to get into a dangerous territory.
Hey, Patrice Bergeron, you want to come? You want to go one more year? Come here, play for nothing.
I'll pass. I'll pass, actually.
But there's guys like that'll be out there. You don't know how they fit, how they want to play. How effective they can be. But they'll always, I don't mind bringing in some guys like that. They add a little something to this team. There's no question about it. But it got to be a good fit. I'm not saying let's go get him. I'm just saying there are guys out there like that can add to your roster.
Yeah, and I will say too about the D core. you figure for next year, Hedman,
Well, you found
Sergachev.
Radish and Perbix.
That's what I'm
huge.
saying. That's what I was going to get to those
Huge.
two guys. You put Hedman, Sergachev, Chernak coming back, Radish and Perbix. I think you got a quality 5 right there.
Boom. And they're cheap, too, at the bottom end.
Exactly. I think you got in the other two, Chernak and Sergachev, I think their deals are going to kick in. They're long-term deals, so you got them tied up. And then Hedman at least for another year or two. So
Killorn's an interesting situation.
He's the big one.
Yeah, and I think Killorn, he just doesn't strike me as a guy that, is going to go chasing money. I could be wrong. He's made a lot of money in this league, probably been really smart with it. He's a Harvard guy. Is there anyone that enjoys living in Tampa more than Alex Killorn? I don't think so. Where's he going to go? Denver?
The tough thing is, it's like I saw Andre Palat as a Lightning lifer. Like, I got the same feeling. And Killorn may be a little bit different, right? He's the longest tenured Bolt, and he really, feels like he loves this community. But he's coming off his best season. I thought he was great in this series.
Yeah.
Really did. Entire line, but especially him. If somebody was willing to give Andre Palat that deal last year, and I know Palat's 2 years younger, so maybe it changes a little bit different, this is his last chance at a payday. And at the end of the day, it's a business and all those cliches. I don't know. I'm not going to
strike me as that guy.
I'd probably go. I'm probably 75-25 of him coming back ultimately, but I still have that 25% out there that if he gets the right offer, that he could go.
Okay. Well, we shall see. But
but
bottom
outside
line
of him, everybody else to me is together.
But the bottom line is these guys ain't going anywhere. They're going to be a really good hockey team for a long time to come. But they're gonna have to pay the piper, and it's starting now. They don't have first-round picks. They've given up a lot of capital over the past. It's kind of like the Brady thing. They're going to have – they hopefully have found some steals in the draft in the later rounds. Hopefully there's some guys down. I mean, we didn't see Radish coming to be this good, right? We didn't see Perbix coming to be this good.
I'm excited to see a full year of Mikey Eyssimont, truthfully. Truthfully.
And I think Tanner Jeannot's a hell of a lot better than what he's shown so far. We know that. And give me a healthy group. And they're back. All right, some thoughts on the Lightning from our esteemed listeners here. A couple you want to put up some of these.
I'll start from the bottom. The recent ones. Ian Cole needs to go. He's a traffic cone. $3.5 million AAV down the drain.
I agree with that.
I thought Ian Cole started the year really well and tailed off. Him and Bogosian was an awful, awful pairing in this playoff. So, yes, I would agree with you.
As Mason reminds us, Killorn has already said he doesn't want to play anywhere else. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He just doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to go chase money. Yeah. He's probably turned his what has he probably made, $75 million so far? He's probably turned that into like a couple billion.
Too, man.
Loves them. He's an influencer. Where's he going to go? I don't even know what that means.
Oh, he said St. Louis, like Montreal, is calling up Killer immediately.
Good luck with that. I know you're friends and all that, but he's got a lot of friends here too. What else we got here?
I'm scrolling up here because we had some Ray stuff in the comments, but we'll get to that a little later.
Yeah, we're going to do Rays a little bit later on. Not as urgent.
Jordan had a long soliloquy kind of here about the high sticking penalty.
Okay.
He thought the Lightning fans complaining about the no high sticking call is aggravating. I personally thought it should have been called, but with 15 seconds left in the game, the reality of the situation is you are not going to get that call. The refs only called 2 penalties on each team and had swallowed their whistles the entire game up to that point. It was an obvious high stick, but due to what point in the game it was at, they were not going to give a 2-minute power play going into overtime. Simply put, when they were letting them play all evening. With all that being said, I still would have called it.
Yeah,
and that's all. I think that's generally was my take on the whole thing.
It's almost like if they're in the corner and there's 5 guys going for a puck and somebody gets high sticked and you don't call it, I'm kind of okay with that. Mm-hmm. When you're out in the middle of the ice and it's so obvious, you're going to be called on the carpet or on the ice in this case because you didn't call it. Mm-hmm. It just makes people think about what's the agenda. And it's too obvious. You have to make the obvious calls. And it sucks, the timing, but be more careful with your stick, at that point.
And people are trying to say Hagel embellished it and everything, too. And, I mean, is it part
that's his job,
is that part of it? Yeah, but you know what? I saw Pasternak do a nice sell job yesterday.
Of course,
they
all do. Yes,
they all do. I think this might have been a response to what I said about the Panthers being a favorite. Toronto fans, be careful what you ask for. The stinking Panthers might have a surprise for you that you don't want. Which, by the way, side note on how about South Florida getting it done as a massive underdog?
Yeah.
The Heat go in and knock off the 1 seed Bucs, and the Panthers come right back and knock off the 1 seed Bruins. And they
hadn't really thought about that.
And I think game 1 of this series, I think, is the same night as game 2 or game 3 of that series. So it's going to be pandemonium now in South Florida for the next couple weeks here.
Yeah. Yeah.
South Florida team's getting it done.
Yeah.
And I believe
it's hard for me to root for them, but
it's hard. See, I don't know why, but I'm
not rooting for Toronto.
I'm not rooting for Toronto. I'm hella sure not rooting for anything coming out of New York.
No. Hell to the no.
I mean, in Carolina, I'm indifferent on, so whatever.
Yeah, Carolina will be a team I'd probably root for.
I'm just going to go with Florida because, like, it's the Florida team. They've never won a Stanley Cup, right? I mean, we've beaten them around for years now.
Yeah, they're our bitches.
Yeah, I think they've learned something.
You want to root for your little brother.
Yeah, I'll call it. I'll root for the state of Florida.
Okay. I don't have.
I don't follow that.
I ain't rooting for Toronto.
I'll root to me. That's kind of like my rule in pro sports. Like if my team gets knocked out, I'll kind of defer to the team that's in the state of Florida.
Okay.
Not in college football though. That's completely different.
Yeah, that's too emotional.
That's way too emotional.
Can't do that. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll hit the Bucs draft. Lots of thoughts on the Bucs draft. We'll have a little sound for you on that as well. Jason Lights. There's some really interesting picks here, but there's also some interesting guys they did not pick, and we'll get into that as well. We are brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. If you have been in an accident and you want that personal attention, trust me, some of the big law firms, folks, you get lost in the shuffle. Go with the folks that will give you that personal attention. That's the Jeeves Law Group and will represent you vigorously. Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Back in 3. Guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. So do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Folks, there is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. They'll make it a fun experience. People come from all over to shop at the Gold and Diamond Source because of their great customer service and incredible, impeccable reputation. No sales pressure, no intimidation, and they have the largest selection of hand-picked diamonds. And by the way, diamonds are the April birthstone. So this month only, they are offering 15% off their diamond birthstone collection, available on select products. And you've probably heard a lot about lab-created diamonds, folks. They hold no real value. You will have no resale value whatsoever with a lab-created diamond. And of course, it's fake. It doesn't mean as much. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, folks. Interest-free financing up to 5 years, a layaway program, 20% down, and only 6 monthly payments. And, of course, the Diamond Savings Account, where you get full value of your diamond when you look to upgrade. It's all there for you at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Homerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo, the medical director, will join us at 11:45. Talk about the True Body system that they have there that they're getting great results with. Also going to talk about screen time, how screen time affects you physically and mentally. Something I want to get into. My screen time was down significantly last week. I'm trying to cut back on my screen time.
What is your screen time at per day?
Embarrassed to say.
What is it?
7.5 hours.
Well, I'm there too.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But we work in jobs where we have to be on those screens.
This is true. This is true.
And if you combine the screen time for this bad boy,
yeah,
but we're pushing like 15.
Yeah. So you'll be interested in this, this discussion, because it affects your posture, your brain, your physicality, everything. The screen time. So we'll get to that. All right, let's talk some Buccaneers draft. Look, there are a lot of interesting players. We talked a lot about Kalijah Kancey on Friday. Absolutely love him. I love him. The more tape I look at, the more people talk about him. I keep hearing a lot of people say, well, they needed edge rush. I did a show this morning, and they were talking about, well, listen, we needed the Bucs needed edge rusher. They didn't get one. I'm like, no, the Bucs needed to improve their pass rush, and they did. And I think that's how you look at it.
Wait, was this about after the first round? They were saying this.
Well, after the entire draft.
Well, they got 2 edges.
Yeah, they did. They did. But you're grabbing a guy in Jose Ramirez, who I think is interesting. A lot of production. I mean, I was like, how the hell is this guy available just because he's not super tall?
He's a Shaq Barrett clone.
He really is.
And John Spytek, by the way, was part of the group of people in Denver who drafted Shaq Barrett. Mm-hmm. So clearly, he said that yesterday or the other day when he spoke, that he sees a little Shaq Barrett in him. It's kind of the same thing because Shaq led the league in the MAC in sacks. Yeah. Won Defensive Player of the Year and went late because he was a little undersized. So I think it's a good 6-round flyer.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And he's got those things they talk about, edge rushers, really good bend, great athleticism, explosive, very productive. Trey Palmer, here's a kid that led the league in 70-yard catches. He had 3 of them. Yeah. I mean, he runs a 4.3. We need a guy that can run a 4.3 and get down the field.
And given how dysfunctional and Nebraska was to if you get 1,000 yards plus on that team,
right,
in the Big Ten, which is usually a defense league, you've got it impresses me. Now he dropped the football too much. That was a thing. 12 drops, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But I think they see a better they're trying to recreate a Scotty
Miller. If he didn't
have
12 drops, he'd be a second rounder.
Yeah, but they're trying to recreate a Scotty Miller, but they got somebody who's a lot more refined as a receiver.
And he's great in he can return kicks too.
Yes, and they're still looking for that.
Yeah, something that the Bucs have not had ever.
Ever.
a kick
Ever.
returner. Servassier Dennis. I think you should just call me Servassier for the rest of the show.
Servassier.
Servassier. Love this pick. Got him a 153, and he's undersized, which I like. And he's super athletic though. You look at his combine numbers and his athleticism and his short-term explosiveness, his shuttle, his 3-cone drill. Really, really good, but yet he's not a great cover guy. That surprises me.
And he's really that's where he really struggles at.
And that surprises me. So I'm betting a lot of that's technique. He has the athleticism to cover. Why is he not a better cover guy?
I don't
know. What I'm saying?
I don't know, and that's where that's kind of I'm this pick I'm kind of on the fence about because of that because the linebacker position. I mean, Levante David has been one of the best coverage linebackers in the league his entire time. Mm-hmm. But this is probably it for him. So you need somebody logically. Devin White, we still have no – I mean, it's always going to be uncertain as far as I'm concerned. And what's the big knock on Devin? He's just not a good cover linebacker, right? So now you bring in another guy that's not really good at cover linebacker. Now, he's really fast. He's fast, and he can get to the quarterback and all those things. But the one thing that the Bucs really need from their linebacking core is what he does not do. And I just wonder how much you can coach that out of somebody.
The other part about that is you don't have to assign a linebacker to cover running back every play.
No.
Okay, and this is a lot about defense now, and I hear it's the same argument that you have about Kalijah Kancey. Well, he's not an edge rusher. Okay, but he can affect the pass rush in a lot of different ways. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, the league is going to quarterbacks that are really athletic. And when you have a bunch of 325-pound defensive tackles running around out there, they're not closing the gap on Anthony Richardson anytime soon. This guy is. This guy can freaking run. So he can not just because he doesn't line up maybe on the outside edge doesn't mean he's not going to make your pass rush a hell of a lot better. He's going to make whoever the outside guy is a lot better because they're not going to be able to help that tackle at all when you've got this guy. And so I saw Vita Vea, by the way, at the Mike Allstott event this weekend, and I was like, hey, got a new running mate at tackle. What do you think? He's like, man, that guy can run. He can. I don't know. He's like, I don't know him, but man, I tell you what, that guy can run. He's athletic, which is something they haven't had at that position.
And that's the theme of the whole entire Bucs draft is they got so much more speed in the building, right? And this, to me,
especially on defense.
Yeah, and this is almost like a philosophy change, I guess, of a Todd Bowles defense because, usually you got two guys in the middle who are 700 pounds, right, combined. And like you said, the league's moving to faster quarterbacks. And not to say every quarterback, I don't care if you can move or not, hates pressure up the middle.
Right.
But you still need guys who can chase. And that goes for outside as well. And the Bucs, I think, still are going to have to figure out. I mean, we'll see, right? I mean, Yaya Diaby, the third-round pick, I tell you what, just from a straight athletic standpoint, he's like one of the most athletically gifted edge rushers, like, in the history of, like, the pre-draft process.
Yeah.
He graded out on, like, some, like, this RAS scale. I don't know if you saw these little graphics that popped up. He graded, like, a 9.87 out of 10. Like, he's, like, in, like, the 99th percentile of athlete for his size, pre-draft prospect, like, combines, pro days, all that kind of stuff. So,
and it matches the production. What do you have, 9 sacks last year?
He had 9 sacks, and he's ascending. He's still really young. So, like, the idea is he has his best football ahead of him.
Yeah, I agree. Late bloomer, great athlete. Again, when you're picking where you're picking and you're trying to get an edge rusher, the good ones are, for the most part, the really proven ones. This guy's got huge upside.
Yeah.
And I like the pick. And Jose Ramirez out of Eastern Michigan isn't, we talked a little bit about him. Both of these guys have a chance to compete. I think, look, Servassier Dennis is not taking Devin White's
they
job.
just needed a body in that room, truthfully, right now.
But
what?
He'll be out there. He'll be out there.
Lurking.
He'll be lurking.
You know what I do know about Servassier Dennis?
And he might be the one starting because who knows if Devin White's going to even want to be part of OTAs or part of he might, pull a Roquan Smith and show up and say, I'm going to be here and not get fined, but I'm really not going to practice until I get my long-term deal.
Well,
and Servassier Dennis just walks right in there and says, okay, let me play.
I was going to say, you know what I know about Servassier Dennis?
He can get off blocks.
Well, no, hold on. He wants to be a Buck.
He does. He does want to be a Buccaneer.
Because of his background.
Yeah.
Parents are from St. Pete, or his dad rather is from St. Pete. His whole family on his paternal side are St. Pete natives. And I think they're military people, so they're up in Syracuse is where they're located. And they showed him when he got picked by the Bucs, and his entire family are wearing Buck shirts.
Yeah.
It's like they'd willed it. They were like, "Yeah, you're going to the Bucs. We know it." His dad's got like I heard he got he's got like a custom Bucs jersey with his name already on it and everything that he's had. So like these are Bucs people. So
love that.
I don't have to doubt that. Which that's another theme from this class is there's so many ties to this team. With Elijah Cansey going to the same high school as Levante David and being a local kid.
Having the same temperament as Levante David, very humble kid, hard worker. Love it.
We just mentioned that one with Servassier Dennis. Hayes, whose first name right now is escaping me at the moment. Josh Hayes from Kansas State. Can't wait to get Scott Reynolds' take on this guy, by the way.
Nephew of Geno Hayes.
Nephew of Geno Hayes.
Passed at an early age.
So a lot of Bucs ties to this draft.
Which means nothing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Cody Mock.
We've been dodging it, weren't we?
Let's talk about Cody Mock. Look, really athletic, North Dakota State, red hair, long red hair. I think we're going a little overboard on the red hair, crazy guy. Okay? What are we going to draft, JP Sears next as well? I think we're just going a little bit overboard. Did we draft him because he's a crazy red-haired guy that Ryan Jensen's going to like?
Jason Lank, this is.
He was the first non-Power 5 guy to come off the board.
Yep.
We seem to like these guys, and I get it. Ali Marpet worked out. Alex Kappa was pretty good.
His comp, I will say, is Alex Kappa. They said.
Yeah.
Okay. Which if you get that, I think you're happy with it.
Well, Alex Kappa was what, a third-round pick, a late third-round pick.
Yeah.
This guy's a second-round pick. Hendon Hooker was on the board.
I knew you were going there.
Hendon Hooker was on the board, and I get it. A lot of teams passed on Hendon Hooker twice. I get it. We have no quarterback under contract for 2024. None. I know there's a long way to go, and whoever wins this job, they'll listen. If Baker Mayfield has a great year, you think he's coming back here if he gets better offers other places?
Oh, if he has a great year, the Bucs aren't letting him out the building. I think that typically works.
They don't make that choice.
The quarterback position, though, typically
they don't make that choice.
That's true.
Baker has
to like it here.
Right. If he decides to go somewhere else, if somebody gives him an offer he can refuse.
I can't think of a reason why he wouldn't want stability, though, and to stay here and all that kind of stuff.
You would think.
You're out of the national media eye.
And if Kyle Trask wins the job, where's he going? Right? Yeah.
He's the guy.
Right.
To me, if either of them end up having a really good year, they're the guy.
But the bottom line is you need more options at quarterback. It's
kind of what Tennessee did, no?
Yeah.
Isn't it not a similar situation to Tennessee?
Or Detroit. Detroit
has Jared Goff was really good, though.
And where Hendon Hooker went to Detroit, Brad Holmes, pride of Chamberlain High.
I would just say, like, Tennessee, to me, like, they have Ryan Tannehill and Baker Mayfield at this point, I think, are pretty interchangeable.
Yeah.
Maybe you give a slight edge to Tannehill, but I don't know. And then you have Malik Willis. He was drafted in the third round. Trask was in the second round.
But we already know Malik Willis is a long shot to be able to play in this league. He looked completely overmatched.
Point being is they got two guys. They got a veteran and they got a young guy that's unproven. And they went out there and added Will Levis with the 33rd pick, right? Traded up to do it. So I guess the Bucs could have done the same thing. I mean, listen, I would have liked to have Hendon Hooker at that pick. I think it wouldn't have hurt.
You could have gone back in later in the second with some draft capital from next year.
Maybe, but here's my problem
didn't everybody have a first-round grade on Hendon Hooker before the ACL?
I don't think everybody, no.
That's what I hear from Mel Kiper. That's what I hear from Matt.
I don't really care what Mel Kiper says.
Well, I hear you and a lot of people, but a lot of the draft analysts said they had a number one, and his ACL is going to be fine by the beginning of training camp.
But he's not a perfect prospect.
He's not a perfect prospect.
Honesty,
I get it.
He's not.
You're getting him in the early third, late second round.
It's good. Listen, Detroit got great value for him.
Yes.
And it's a great spot for him. It really is, because there's no guaranteed money to Jared Goff after this year. So if Jared Goff reverts back to what he was before Detroit, then guess what, Hendon Hooker, you're next guy up, right? It's a good spot. But just speaking to the Cody Mock pick, I saw it and I immediately went,
yeah.
That was my first reaction to it. Now, am I going to pretend that I had studied Cody Mock extensively? No, I did not. Probably should have, because of course this is a Jason-like guy. But the reason why I didn't is because even though he's a tackle, you just kind of look at his measurables and where he came from. You're like, okay, that guy's obviously going to be a guard.
Looks like a guard. Played a little center in the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, and the Bucs even came out right away and said we see him as a guard. And I don't know, man. I understand, like, I was okay taking Kalijah Cansey in the first, even though it wasn't the biggest need on the team, because I think it was a semi-need, number one.
It was a huge need.
I thought it was a semi-need, and it's the best player available, right? Yeah. And I think if you have a chance to get that guy, you get him.
He's going to be a great pick.
Yeah, I feel that way.
I really feel that way.
With this one, I don't know. I felt like they have a lot of bodies in that guard room. I like Nick Leverett at left. I know they traded Shaq Mason, so theoretically you got to fill the right guard position. But I thought Hainsey.
You signed Stenny who played well in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you kind of have a logjam at guard. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about a second-round pick if we get to the season beginning and he's not starting. I don't like that.
Right.
I don't like that. And that, to me, they resigned right away that they're going Wirfs at left and they're going Gedeke at right, which we told you was going to be a possibility.
Where's
all
Hainsey
along.
playing?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, are we taking Hainsey off the line now? Like, I mean, again, it's not a bad thing to have competition. I'm not going to say that. And you don't want to be giving guys, jobs right away. You like to have competition, so maybe that's the process behind the pick. But, again, sorry about that. I see the profile of him, and I go, that's just a Jason-like guy. This is a Jason-like pick. And I'm like, how many times are you going to keep going to this well and before you doesn't work out is my fear.
And Osiris, if you're looking for a guard, Osiris Torrance was still on the board.
Yeah, or even, if you wanted to play a guy at guard, John Michael Schmitz, he was the best center in this draft by far. The Giants got great value for him at 57. I'm like, if he can play center, I'm assuming he could play guard if he really wanted to. In Minnesota, there's a lot of pedigree there. Like, I don't know. I thought it was, and I know he grades out really well from an athletic standpoint. I referred to some of his stuff at the Senior Bowl, and they asked a lot of the edge rushers at the Senior Bowl, who'd you have the hardest time going up against? And majority of the answer said it was Cody Mock.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good information, I guess.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent on the pick right now. That's the one I'm really indifferent on right now because it's such a premium pick, honestly, at 48.
Well,
for a guy who I don't even know if it's going to start.
No, I agree. You can't. I typically will always say you can't have enough big bodies up front. The more you take in the upper rounds, the better. But you better be damn sure about what you're getting in the first two rounds. And when you play at North Dakota State, it's just hard to get a comp on him. And 1 week at the Senior Bowl does not a career make. So we'll see. I don't like because look, he's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
He is.
We're and I love the attitude. One of the things I didn't like is if you're not strong as an interior lineman, and you've been playing college football for that long, why is he not stronger than he is? Is he not a real weight room guy? What's going on there?
He grew up on a farm in North Dakota.
Right.
I don't think he's a weight room guy.
You should be. If you grow up on a farm in North Dakota, you should be, building fence posts and all that crap. You should be stronger than that. If your guys are already talking about he needs to get stronger, I'm not sure that's great. But
yeah, I'll tell you this, by the way. I think the Bucs got a steal of somebody they didn't even draft.
Who's that?
And that's Sean Tucker, the running back from Syracuse. I think we got an up-close look at this guy at Florida State.
Yeah.
Seeing this guy.
He can play.
I'm surprised he didn't get drafted. Somebody here in the comments put it that Chris Sims had him ranked as his 4th best running back. PFF had him ranked as their 9th best running back. He was thought to have like a 4th or 5th round grade.
Mm-hmm.
And they get this guy undrafted? Just to give you a taste of what he did at Syracuse, 3 years at Syracuse, he had 3,182 yards, 27 touchdowns.
It's a lot of production.
It's a lot of production.
Major conference.
And he took strides as a receiver this year, career high 36 catches, so he can catch the ball a little bit. 5.4 yards average per carry. He was basically the workhorse for that Syracuse team, and he's 210 pounds, so he's got a nice frame on him. And the Bucs, what do they need? They need a big body back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially for short yardage situations, goal line situations, stuff they struggled at last year a lot. I love this pickup from an undrafted, and I think he's a guy that's going to make this roster, or has a really good chance to, and be a contributor.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of undrafted guys, you don't know what you're going to get, especially year one.
We got our new Scotty Miller, too, in Cade Warner.
Yeah, Kurt Warner's son.
Kurt Warner's son, wide receiver from Kansas State, who was extremely productive.
Yep.
We got a kicker Jake Bates from Arkansas.
Of course, we got a kicker.
Ronnie Brown is a running back.
Not that Ronnie Brown.
From Shepherd. He's a Shepherd?
What is Shepherd?
What is Shepherd? Is it a college? Is it a farm? Is it a what is Shepherd? Anyway, that's where he played at Shepherd. I was surprised that they didn't take, they took Josh Hayes, the only defensive back that they took. I was surprised that they didn't take a defensive back higher in the draft.
Yeah, and I was shocked they took Josh Hayes in general because the second he got picked, I was reading everywhere that he was supposed to be undrafted.
Right.
So they kind of took him higher, but it sounds like they got a really good feel for him and during the pre-draft process that he came to Tampa and worked out, and it seemed like he was really committed to that, and that stood out to them.
Mm-hmm.
So he was just one of their guys. He's a Blazer. I think he ran 4.44 maybe.
Yeah.
At his pro day, so you got some speed back there. He's a lot of starts, but again, the last thing I saw of this guy was he got cooked against Alabama in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. He's a guy that I definitely want to speak to Scott Reynolds about. Tell me more about him.
And the other part about this is, especially with the defensive players, is they're so specialized these days. Is there something that he does that they really, really like?
Mm-hmm.
There's something that is he a good zone dropper? Is he good, good run support guy? Is he good just with, guarding guys who have straight line speed that he can run with? Because that's hard to find. So, and Zion McCollum's going to have to just step up. After this draft, you say to yourself, okay, Zion McCollum, it's time for you to step up and play. And you're going to have to play a hell of a lot better than you did last year.
Yeah.
So,
hey, by the way, when I was just talking about Sean Tucker and Richie,
by the way, our top two corners really need to stay healthy.
They do.
They really need to stay healthy.
They do. But real quick, by the way, because I was just talking about Sean Tucker and everything, I guess I missed this completely, but Richie said it in the comments, and I looked it up. So the reason why he went undrafted, he had a round 4 grade for most people. They discovered he has a heart issue.
Oh, okay.
And it sounds like it's not going away. So that is why he went undrafted. So this is taking a flyer on the talent, and, of course, that doesn't pop back up. But that sounds like that's the reason why he went undrafted.
Well, that's good value then. We hope that
it's still tremendous value, and all he's got to beat out is, Patrick Laird, Keyshawn Vaughn, and Chase Edmonds.
Yeah.
Which I think is really doable.
Well, and, special teams.
Teams.
How good are you going to play on special teams?
All those things.
Yeah.
The one pick we didn't discuss, I think it's the last one we were missing here, was Payne Durham.
Oh, yeah, the tight end at 171.
I said I really wanted a tight end in this class. I wasn't going for a super slow one. I said I wanted someone more athletic. He catches a lot of touchdowns, 21 touchdowns, I think, in his career at Purdue.
Right.
But
56 receptions last year.
And you see the way he looks? Again, he's a Jason, you saw the way he looks?
Yeah.
I just saw him, and I'm like, yeah, okay. He looks like an oddball.
Yeah.
So he's a Jason-like pick again.
And
big dude.
And the PFF, he's a bigger guy, 260 pounds, 256. But his blocking grade is 56.7. Yeah. How are you that big in college and you can't block? That's not good.
I just wanted someone
And we needed
athletic.
somebody who can block.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, besides Ko Keefe.
Ko's going to give it all he has, but
he sure does.
He's limited.
Yeah, his hands are not great. Not great. But saw him at the Mike Allstott thing as well.
Who, Ko Keefe?
Yeah, looks good.
He's taller than him?
Yeah, a little bit. No, he's a little bit. But he looks like he slimmed down a little bit. He looked like he was in better shape.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, well, he looked bigger and stronger. I liked last year he looked a little chunky. Well, not in great shape.
It's the number. And no one looks good in the number 41. Yeah. The number 41 makes everyone look chunky.
Yeah, especially when you get big pads on and, and you're dropping
you
the ball.
You always
look
chunky in that number.
Yeah. So, all right, I know everybody kind of gave them a passing grade or a B, a B minus B.
I'm not grading any draft class.
It's so silly. It's so silly.
It's a way to get content.
Yeah, it's so silly, but I think the Bucs filled some needs. I think Cansey's going to be a impact guy. I think I have just a sneaky suspicion that Servassier, my new name, is going to be a player.
And Pitt, honestly, is one of those schools.
Yeah.
Not a lot of success in college football necessarily, like long term, but go through their history. That school pumps out first-round picks and Hall of Famers like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Seriously, like Curtis Martin, Dan Marino, Larry Fitzgerald, Aaron Donald. When there's a first-round pick coming out of that school, watch out.
Yeah.
Watch out. And I'm hoping Kalijah Cansey's the next one.
And Kenny Pickett played pretty well last year.
Yeah, and even like some of the depth guys that they have around the league. I mean, even go to Jordan Whitehead, who was a big contributor here.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of guys in the league from Pitt, and usually they all kind of work out. So I'm hoping Servassier Dennis could be a nice little steal.
Pennsylvania is has a great football lineage.
Yeah.
And, sometimes the guys that don't get to go to Penn State, that go to, Pittsburgh with a chip on their shoulder, I think that has a little something to do with it. It really does. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back and hit the Rays. Eric Erlinson's going to join us at 11:30 as well. Chris Lugo at 11:45 to talk about how screen time affects you mentally and physically. Do we need to get off our phones more? That's probably a true statement, and we'll tell you why. So lots more coming your way. We're brought to you by the Gold and Diamond Source. And you got Mother's Day coming up pretty soon, kids, so don't screw up. Go get something shiny and beautiful at the Gold and Diamond Source. We'll tell you more about them later on in the show. Stay with us. Folks, there is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. They'll make it a fun experience. People come from all over to shop at the Gold and Diamond Source because of their great customer service and incredible, impeccable reputation. No sales pressure, no intimidation, and they have the largest selection of hand-picked diamonds. And by the way, diamonds are the April birthstone. So this month only, they are offering 15% off their diamond birthstone collection, available on just select products. And you probably heard a lot about lab-created diamonds, folks. They hold no real value. You will have no resale value whatsoever with a lab-created diamond. And of course, it's fake. It doesn't mean as much. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, folks. Interest-free financing up to 5 years, a layaway program, 20% down, and only 6 monthly payments. And, of course, the Diamond Savings Account, where you get full value of your diamond when you look to upgrade. It's all there for you at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Homerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz, the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com.
Let's go.
right now. Back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
Rayleigh walls off second base. Rayleigh shoots it into left center field. That's got some carry to it. And we'll get out of here. Home run on a 3-2 pitch. Luke Rayleigh.
Yeah, they were saying Luke. Those old school White Sox uniforms look kind of cool, huh?
Yeah, that's the only thing good about that franchise. Right
What is
now.
it, about 7 people in the
Well, they scared him away after what happened on Saturday night,
Yeah.
where they looked like they were going to get out with a win finally.
And no hit in the Rays, and the Rays come back and drop 12 on them.
I know. I'm like, logically, okay, let's get into what happened yesterday because that was a crazy game. But what I saw on Saturday night, and I know a lot of people missed it because of the lightning and everything.
Yep.
I did not. I had my laptop right next to me, my good old nice laptop, watching the Rays as well. And I just barely was watching it kind of because I'm like, they're getting no hit. This is boring, blah, 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 blah. And this team just turns it on, man.
Boom.
How many times have they done that this year where they kind of just lollygag through a few innings, and then they get late in the game, and all of a sudden, boom.
Smash.
Same thing happened yesterday, to be honest.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it happened for Chicago, too. But 10 runs in an inning.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot of runs.
Yeah. And then they lose. I mean, so yesterday they take the lead on Rayleigh's home run.
Yep.
And then Clevenger and who was the other knucklehead yesterday? Beeks.
No, there were a few knuckleheads. Let's not. Let's back
he
it
gave
up.
12 runs to the freaking White Sox.
Back it up a little bit. Let's start with Mr. Poche.
Yeah.
Who?
He's not your guy. He's definitely not
Whose
your guy.
guy is he? Kevin Cash's guy.
Kevin
That's who
Cash's
he
guy.
is. This is his Devin White.
His
apparently.
analytic makeup must somehow include some really compromising pictures of upper management.
It's like, I'm not going to be the guy that calls for him to be sent down. I think he's a major league arm. He's got some good stuff. But for crying out loud, man, he is not a high-leverage situation guy.
No.
He is not that guy. There's always something. He's walking guys, the command's off, he gives up hard hits. Something always goes wrong with
We
the
got to
guy.
have somebody better.
You know what the problem with this Rays team? And this scares me long term. The closer of this team can't pitch in cold.
Yeah.
This is a real issue.
Yeah.
Remember last year against Cleveland?
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't pitch in the cold.
Yeah.
First game of this series. Couldn't pitch in the cold.
Yeah, that's
This is
not
a
good.
problem.
Yeah, because postseason's October.
Because this is where this team needs. If you start out this well, I got high expectations now for you.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you got a closer that can't pitch in the cold without his fingers, like, doing something weird.
Yeah.
I know the Rays have the #1 ERA in the league. They got the #2 bullpen ERA, but doesn't it feel like there's some underlying numbers on a lot of these guys that a blow-up's coming soon? And yesterday was the first sign of it. They got some guys in this bullpen who, quite frankly, don't. They need They need to work on that.
Yeah. No, they're not a perfect team by far.
But then again, I'm not going to boohoo too much, because they just went 23 and stinking 6.
Yeah.
In the month of April.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty good start.
This is. I mean, let's not take
by the
anything away
way-
how historic this was.
Yeah. By the way, I think here come the Baltimore Orioles.
They're
did I say?
3.5 games back.
That's what I thought. I was like, did I see that correctly in the standings? I'm checking it
The
right
Yankees
now.
are in last place.
Yeah, I mean, we got some pretty good teams in this.
The AL East is unbelievable.
Yeah. Power rankings.
The AL East finished.
Power rankings are out.
The AL East finished with like a plus 160 something run differential.
Every team's over 500. Aren't you glad that the balanced schedule is here?
Yeah, aren't you glad that the Rays, and I said this because Jeff Passan put like all the numbers from the first month up, and the AL East has just, dominated everything. Aren't you glad that the Rays beat up on this weak competition?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they hadn't? They'd just be somewhere in the middle of the division.
Yeah, absolutely.
The entire AL East is on a 103 win pace.
And look at the AL Central.
Oh,
you have
it's
horrific.
horrific.
One team over 500, and that's Minnesota. That's 17-12, which isn't even that great, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland 13-15, Detroit 10-17. White Sox have won 8 games. Kansas City's won 7 games. You look at the West. The
Some
Angels.
better teams there, but you got Oakland dragging it down.
Yeah, and Texas. Do you really believe Texas is a really good ball club?
Well, DeGrom's back on the IL.
Yeah.
Shocker. but they can hit. They've been the second best offense in baseball behind the Rays.
That won't last.
I don't know. They've invested a lot of money in there.
In Houston's 15-13. That's shocking.
But they've been playing better ball of late. 7-3. It's the Astros. They're gonna figure it out.
Yeah. The Angels are 15-14. They're over 500. It's like, wow, shocking development.
The NL East has 4 teams, I think. So it's the East. The East is running baseball right now.
Yeah. It's but again, having a balanced schedule is really going to help this Rays team out. And you're absolutely right. You got to take advantage when you're playing these weak sisters.
And with that being said, we're going to find out who the Rays are in the month of May.
Right.
Because we got a day off today. The Pirates are coming into town. The Pirates are 20-9. I mean, I hate
about that?
I want to say the Rays are the best story in baseball, but it's actually the Pirates.
Yeah.
It's actually the Pirates. Listen to the teams the Rays are going to play in the month of May. You got 3 at home against Pittsburgh. 3 at home against New York. I'll be there on Saturday. 3 on the road against Baltimore. 3 on the road against New York. 3 on the road against the Mets. Back home against Milwaukee, Toronto,
who's 18-10,
and the
Milwaukee.
Dodgers.
Wow.
And then you go to Wrigley for 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a let-up in that schedule in the month of May.
Nope.
So, again, 23-5 is great. They really needed to get out to that start, like we said, because now it's going to amp up. They're not going 23-6 again.
They're coming back to the pack.
They're going to come back down a little bit. But that being said, the good thing I've seen is the offense has not let up one bit. They're never out of a game, right? And they're going to get some reinforcements back. I mean,
Glasnow's
going to be back in the so you're going to have a healthy rotation. Eflin continues to. I mean, he's been great. I think Rasmussen's fighting it a little bit. Yesterday, I think every pitcher. I'll cut some slack to everybody a little bit yesterday because I think that game probably should have been called at some point with all the rain.
Yeah.
Nobody could grip the baseball.
Yeah.
It felt like.
That's bad.
That was pretty bad. I thought on Major League Baseball not to do something about that game, so I'll cut slack a little bit there, especially on Beeks, who really was fighting it. But he's had 2 really bad outings, though, in a row, to be honest with you, so not great there. But yeah, we're going to find out what this team's made of here in the month of May.
All right, I want to get to we have Eric Erlinson coming up at 11:30. We're going to talk some more Bolts and see what the offseason is going to hold for them and what he thought of how this whole series went down. So I want to get to a couple other stories. We spoke just casually about the Bruins' loss last night to Florida. By the way, hats off. It's not like Florida, went out to they did go out to a 2-0 lead. Boston comes screaming back to take a 3-2 lead, and the place is just going bonkers. And then, Florida, they pull the goalie, and they get that, was that Montour?
Montour, who was a beast in this series.
Yeah, just a beast with an incredible shot, short side to tie it up. And then the game-winning goal is our friend, former Lightning.
How about that?
Carter Verhaeghe, who just roofs one.
Scored 40 goals this year.
Yeah. We've had to get rid of a bunch of guys that are pretty damn good because of salary cap.
and Johnny Gord, Andre Palat, all these guys contributing for teams that are still in it.
Yep. So Florida just crushes the Bruins. and by the way, I have Leaf fans coming at me on Twitter. They're like, oh, you said that the Lightning were going to win the game. I'm like, yeah. And by the way, we don't celebrate first-round wins. I know for you it's the first time in 19 years, first time in a generation you've won. But we don't really celebrate first-round victories here. We kind of take them for granted.
No, we didn't need
so
to.
You go ahead and celebrate.
We didn't need all the extra cases of Bud Light after a first round. We
really didn't need it. No. Sorry for you. So good luck. Congratulations, but you're not winning anything this year. First rounds are not considered. I know in Toronto they're important. It's a step for you. But, yeah.
Yeah, and same thing goes for Boston, by the way. Who, by the way, I didn't know this, won Stanley Cup in 50 years for the Boston Bruins. 1. And they've been to, 5, I think, in the past 30 years. Mm-hmm. And they've only won 1 of them.
How many have we won in that half that time?
3. And they've been to, 6 Cup finals? Yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
But Boston is... Yeah. So a friend we have on the show at sometimes from Jacksonville, Rick Ballou, big Boston fan, always comes down here for when the Bruins are here. And he's like, I'm done. I'm done with you, Boston. I'm never going to speak of you again on my show. I'm just done. I'm all Jaguars now. I'm all in on every, I'm going to try to rope him into being a Lightning fan now. since we're
well,
his
Boston,
closest team.
Boston to me is falling off now because, and it was sad. I will say this.
Don't tell me it was sad.
No.
Do not play that card.
Hold up. Let me get there.
All right.
I have a lot of respect for the great players of this game. And to see Patrice Bergeron, the scene of him on the ice, and he's, every player comes by and is greeting him, and the hug that he had with, as much as you think out Brad Marchand all you want, he's a great player. And that hug that he had the embrace that he had, I'll call it, with Bergeron, it was touching. It was. I mean, Bergeron has been in this league. He's one of the longest tenured players in this league right now. And he's one of the best, he may be the best two-way player I think I've ever seen. He still has his A game. Yeah, and he's fighting through a lot. He had a herniated disc in his back, and he missed, a couple games in this series. So he was banged up, but you could tell he really wanted this one. He really, and Marchand did too. Taylor Hall's another guy who's been chasing a ring for a while. They really wanted this. So I have some sympathy for that guy, especially Patrice Bergeron, because I think this is it for him. Same thing with David Krejci. But at the same time, it's Boston.
It's Boston.
It's Boston.
Sorry. It was a nice try, though. It was a good try. You're tugging at my heartstrings.
Because I just love Patrice Bergeron. I love that player. I love the player. I hate the team, but I love that player.
I can't remove him from that uniform. That just makes me hurl.
He's likable, though. He's very likable. I think he does it. He plays the game the right way.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
He's one of those guys I would have loved to have seen get a ring, maybe. Not the whole team.
I wanted to come here and crush Boston on this, so you kind of messed up my whole mojo on this.
Well, we got to balance each other out a little bit.
Screw you, Boston. As we said, during the whole season, you run out on that marathon and you sprint out front and put your chest out as you're coming to the finish line at the Boston Marathon, and you're 200 yards ahead of everybody after mile 22. Woo, look at me. Guess what? Everybody just passed you.
And you pulled a hammy.
Heartbreak Hill.
You pulled a hammy.
You pulled a hammy on Heartbreak Hill, and you're done. You're gone. Psst. Enjoy that trophy, that President's Trophy.
Trophy nobody wants that trophy.
Nobody.
I would start intentionally losing games at the end of the year if it meant not getting that damn trophy.
You get caught up in the whole thing and the that's what I'm saying.
They lost 7 times at home this year, and they just lost 3 in a week at home.
Yeah.
And they
the
all
Lightning
of a sudden
were the second best home team all year long. They lost 3 overtime
And the
games.
great Linus Ullmark, who's probably going to win the Vezina, basically because it's a regular season award, gets benched for Game 7. They had to go to Swayman.
What'd you think of that move? Well, obviously it didn't work out.
I think it had to be done.
Yeah.
It had to be done. He had no confidence. And and the crazy thing
that was a blunder of all blunders.
And the crazy thing about Florida is Bobrovsky is known for his playoff struggles.
Right.
Yet he's knocked out the 2 greatest teams in regular season history.
He has.
He can hang his hat on that all you want.
He has, yeah.
How do I feel about it? That's the one thing I guess will give me pause, though, for the rest of the playoffs is he still has a bad track record in the playoffs.
Right.
Bobrovsky, and you could have a blow-up at any time, and I don't think Alex Leon is the type of goalie that's going to carry you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I still like Florida's chances because I didn't see much of Toronto's game that I liked in this series. And then the Metro, you're going to get a Game 7 tonight. It's on ESPN, so it's going to be in front of everybody.
I love it.
Rangers and Devils.
That's going to be a good one.
I thought the Rangers were dead in this series.
Yep.
For 3 games, it's like they weren't interested in playing, I guess.
Yeah.
But now it goes to Game 7 at the Prudential Center. I be honest with you, I'm not a New York. I hate New York just as much as I hate Boston.
Right.
So, I guess for the lesser of the evils here, I'll root for New Jersey in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're a new face a little bit, and I think it'd kind of be funny that New York went out and got so many players to go home in the first round. Be a little bit funny to me. And again, we'll soften the blow of the Lightning going out and getting some fresh blood in there. So that'll be great tonight. These Game 7s don't disappoint. That's one thing.
No.
You mentioned the Kraken last night. What a
How
story.
About that?
They scored
out Colorado.
They scored the first goal in all 7 games. Seattle did.
Yeah.
And their big deadline acquisition, Oliver Borkstrand scores both goals last night. He's been fantastic for them in this series. But that being in Colorado, to me, Makar did something stupid, got himself suspended for a game. They had no Landeskog. The whole thing with Nichushkin is a very weird situation, what happened there. So let's not act like Colorado was at full strength by any means. But, again, nobody's feeling sorry for you. Everybody's hurt.
All right, quick check-in on the NBA playoffs. If you missed Steph's performance yesterday, 50 in Game 7 against Sacramento, who, by the way, is going to be a good team. They're a good young team. They'll be back. But, boy, Curry just absolutely obliterated them yesterday. He was 20 of 38, hit 7 three-pointers, just controlled the game like it was incredible to watch. That was one of those moments that you just savor watching that cat play. And now he's going to go up against LeBron. They had 4 years. I mean, we didn't think we'd see one of these, but if I ever was looking forward to a 38-year-old going up against a 35-year-old, whatever it is, these geezers, it's this series. And Draymond and what can watch AD disappear as things get rough. It's going to be fun.
It's the
See
NBA.
how he slid that shot in on AD.
Yeah, you had to get that in there. This is going to be a lot of fun. I mean, Warriors-Lakers, second round. But the Warriors, though, and then I tell you this during the regular season, I told you. I'm like, they're the Golden State Warriors.
They're coming.
They're coming.
They're coming.
Now, they tested me a little bit when they went down 2-0 against Sacramento because I thought they looked a little gassed, right? And I even said that. But, my goodness, man, when Steph Curry wants to, it's like he could put up 50 every night if he really wanted to. And Steph Curry, it's like his legacy talk now. It's like you got to almost put him like, is he a top 5 player all time?
He changed the game. He completely changed the game.
He's completely changed the game. I mean,
nobody's ever shot from the logo until he came along, and now it's commonplace.
Yeah, and he's no spring chicken either.
No.
He's no spring chicken, and he just seems to get – I guess he's better now than he ever – he looks almost better now than he ever was.
You know what is really crazy about it is here's a cat that went to Davidson and was, an afterthought in the draft by most, and he's become the generational player that I mean, everybody had a chance to get Steph Curry, just about. And, no, he's too small. He's made himself into a physical. He's not, a physical freak, but I remember how slight he was coming up. He was about $160.
Yeah.
And now he's a legitimate grown ass man. And his physical ability to, I heard Tim Legler talking about this morning. He said to be able to put up 38 shots in a Game 7 and to make 20 of them and to be as efficient as he was and to dominate the game. He goes, you have no idea how much energy that takes to just completely be so ball dominant in a game like this when you got 5 guys that are expending 5 young guys, 5 young, athletic, tall, lanky guys that Sacramento has. That was a virtuoso performance. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back, and Eric Erlindson's going to join us. We'll get his take on this series. Chris Lugo will join us as well from Bay Area Modern Medicine. So big half hour coming your way. Stay with us. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. We're along with Nick Geddes this morning as we talked. I just love the name. I'm going to appropriate that name because I think it's so awesome. Our parents were so uncreative when they named all of us. Eric, JP. Well, actually, I didn't even get JP. I got John. You got Nick. Where's the Cervasiers? We don't have any Cervasiers in the NHL, although we do have some good names. What's up, Eric Erlinson? How are you?
We used to have Espen Knutson.
Espen Knutson was a good one, yeah.
European name, though. And yes, he was named after ESPN.
Yeah. Absolutely love it. Well, my friend, the season has come to a close. I'm surprised I'm not as emotional as I thought I would be. But maybe we all just kind of felt this coming. It just didn't seem like this maybe was the Lightning's year. But that being said, my friend, I still think they were the better team in this series. What say you?
Absolutely. I mean, you look at the numbers, you look at the chances. I mean, that's the one thing. You look at what Toronto's top guys did, and you look at what the Lightning's top guys did. And it's not the difference in the series, but it's a difference in the series. The Lightning got goals from 14 different players in the series and still lost. If you'd have told me that going in, I'd say there's no way they would lose this series because you figured, Nikita Kucherov, Braden Point, and Steven Stamkos were going to have an impact, right? I mean, Braden Point had 2 goals in the series. They both came in game 1. Nikita Kucherov had 1 goal in the series. It came in game 1. And then Steven Stamkos had 2 goals. One was one that actually went off of him. It wasn't his shot or anything. And then obviously the tying goal in game 6 there. But, yeah, it's a little bit of a surprise based on the way they played. Am I surprised that the Lightning lost this series? No. Toronto is a really, really good team. I think people lose sight of that sometimes. We kind of get focused on what we see in front of us with the Lightning. But Toronto's a really good team. They have depth that they haven't had in years past. You got to give a ton of credit to Kyle Dubas for bringing in Ryan O'Reilly and Nola Chari and all these other changes that they made ahead of the deadline because they were always trying to escape their own history. And they brought in 6 or 7 guys who have not even been a part of that history in any capacity. And I think that matters. Yeah. So, if you'd have told me that the Lightning were going to lose this series, I said, yeah, I could see that. But if you would have told me the way they played in this series that they were going to lose it, I wouldn't have believed that.
Yeah, and it's why it's hard on me because like they outplayed them for it felt like 90% of the series. Yeah. And even before the goal in overtime, I thought the Lightning had the play. They had the chance with Mikey Eyssimont. Which narrowly missed, and then one great little shift there by Tavares and good battles on the board and all that, and it felt so apropos, right? That's how it had to end. I mean, was it that too? It's just they just didn't get the puck luck, and you need that to move on.
You do. There's no doubt. And if anything that these past couple of days have taught us, appreciate what the Lightning have done, right? Like you saw the Bruins go out and lose a game 7 on home ice to the Panthers in overtime. You saw the Avalanche get knocked out last night to the Kraken. I mean, it's hard to win. I mean, the Leafs hadn't won a playoff series since 2004, and they've had some pretty good teams the last couple of years, right? Yeah. So the NHL playoffs is unlike anything else in terms of pro sports, in terms of the upsets and everything else. And a big part of that is some of that puck luck, right? Like, the game-winning goal in Game 4 where they lost the 4-1 lead, that puck's going 5 feet wide. And Kerfoot gets a stick on his backhand and it goes in the net. Maybe you do that play 100 times and 40 of them go in the net, right? It's the element of hockey. It's what makes it so great and so heartbreaking at the same time, because if those breaks don't go your way, you feel like you got cheated a little bit. But the Lightning didn't get cheated in this series. They got beat by a better team who had some better luck.
Would you have made any personnel changes in this series? Obviously, Tanner Jeannot sits the last couple of games. There were some guys out there that weren't producing a lot that could have come out of the lineup as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Didn't have much roster flexibility, right? I mean, that's just what it comes down to. Syracuse was playing, right? They're still involved in their playoffs. They have a deciding Game 5, I think, on Friday night against Rochester in the AHL. So they just didn't have options, and we know that, Hedman was playing through something. Pretty sure Braden Point was playing through something after that. He took the hit to Morgan Riley. And we'll find out. Exit interview day is tomorrow, so we'll find out hopefully we'll find out if there were some other injuries that were hampering guys as well, because there always is something that you're not aware of that guys were kind of battling through. But they just, you had 2 scratches a night, and you can't convince me Tanner Jeannot was 100% healthy. I mean, that injury that he took, I think he escaped any knee damage, which is probably why he was back in 2 weeks. But if it was an ankle sprain, and if it was a high ankle sprain, I mean, that limits you. I know, guys try and fight through that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you had 2 guys to lean on with Eric Chernak out, which was a big factor in the series. Don't fool yourself into thinking it wasn't. You had Asamont and Jeannot as your 12th and 13th forwards, and you had Hayden Fleury as your 7th defenseman. There just wasn't any options for John Cooper to go to, and they were not going to rob from Syracuse, for lack of a better word, right? I just get the sense that they felt the trust in the guys that they had. Yeah. And if you can't trust a guy like Hayden Fleury, who's been with this team all year, and call up somebody from Syracuse to take a defensive spot, I mean, there's some question marks if you're going to do that. So there just wasn't much flexibility that they could do in terms of personnel on the ice.
Yeah, and I mean, in general, too, like they talk about the process, and I thought the process was as good as it's been all year.
They played well.
Again, that's frustrating is they didn't play their best hockey during the regular season. I thought they played their best hockey, for 5 of these 6 games.
As I expected.
And it just didn't work out. So I guess turning the page a little bit, and we're not used to having to talk about what goes on next year this early. There's a lot more time to think about it, but now you get an extra 3 months off rest than what they've had the last few years. Although the core gets a little older, and given the way they played, I mean, you think that they're still in their window, you would say.
Absolutely. I mean, Stamkos is 33, Hedman will be 33 in December. Those are, let's Brian Elliott and Corey Perry, the guys who are in their mid to upper 30s who probably won't be back. Those are probably your 2 oldest guys on the team. We'll see what happens with Alex Killorn, who's scheduled to be a UFA. He's actually the longest tenured player in the system, right? He was a 2007 draft pick. We'll see what his plans are moving forward. But, you get the next tier. I mean, Kucherov is 30. Vasilevsky's 29, 30 years old. They're not on the other side of their careers as of yet. Braden Point's 26, 27. Mikhail Sergachev. I know. I heard you talking with Engblom on the last call the other night. It seems like he's been here for a decade, but he's 24 years old.
Cirelli's 25.
Yeah. Eric Chernak, is 25 years old. So this is not the Pittsburgh Penguins, right? Who all of their core players were basically the same age. This is a tiered kind of setup that the team has. And this window is absolutely open. There'll be some changes during the offseason for sure. I think you'll have an entirely new 4th line. I thought Mikey Asamont fit in well. We'll see where he factors in. He can be a UFA at the end of the year. It's a Group 6. It's a convoluted CBA situation that could make him a UFA, even though if people look at his status, it shows RFA. I think this window is absolutely still open. The division is going to get tougher. You look at the strides that Buffalo has made. You look at the strides Ottawa has made. Detroit's sort of on that upswing as well. So the division is going to be a little bit tougher than it has the past couple of seasons. So points will be harder to come by. I still believe that this team, especially if you got 88 net who can be 88, then you always get a chance.
Eric Erlinson joining us here. And as far as the salary cap goes, I think it's only probably going to go up maybe $1 million. Where are they in terms of salary cap and being able to add anybody? And Killorn, I think, has said that he doesn't want to go anywhere.
Yep.
He'll probably get a couple of really good offers to do so, though, because, the Lightning players that go other places tend to elevate their teams. Yanni Gourde, Palat. So what do you think the Killorn situation is?
Oh, that's a good question. It's easy for a player in his situation to say, yeah, I want to stay and I'll take a home team discount. But what does that mean? I mean, look at Palat. Palat didn't want to leave, but there was no way. And you look at the contract that he got, 5 years, $30 million from New Jersey. Alex Killorn's coming off his best statistical season of his career. He had a monster playoffs in that series. I mean, he might have been the most consistent forward this team had out there in that 6 games. So, if he chooses to go the UFA route, then there will be plenty of suitors willing to, give him a decent contract, even at the age of 33. right? Like it's easy to say it. And I know Alex is sincere. He's not just saying, yeah, I want to stay. No, he really, really does not want to go somewhere else. I mean, he certainly made that clear during the expansion draft process. But it's just a willing to how much, because the team, and this is going to be the case here for, until the cap goes up significantly, you're going to be in cap hell, and they're going to be in cap hell next year because you have Cirelli, Sergachev, and Chernak's contract extensions kicking in next year. And yeah, you're going to, see guys drop off the roster, Perry and Belmar and those guys, but it's not going to open up a ton of cap space. You have an RFA, what are you going to do with Ross Colton? He's a restricted free agent who's got arbitration rights. He's had a 20-goal season in his career, and, he could probably receive a substantial arbitration award. So it's going to be interesting to see how the team handles that situation. So yeah, it's there's not a ton of flexibility, but as we've seen with Julian Breezeball in the past, he finds ways to make it happen.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, before we get you out of here real quick, give me a landscape across the NHL playoffs, the shockers we had. Florida takes out Boston. Oh, that's so sad. And then the Abs are gone as well. This is a wide open field. We get another Game 7 tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, it's again, it shows you the beauty of hockey. It's I think TJ Reeves said it's the only thing that compares to NCAA, first round March Madness with the upsets and everything, because it's true. I mean, what other league are you going to get a team that, what was Florida, 43 points less than the Bruins during the regular season? It's nice to know now that Lightning have some company
right
in first round exits with the historical seasons. Yeah, it's wide open. I really like Dallas in the West. I think that, they got a team that's pretty deep. They got a goalie in Jay Gottinger, who's proven now that he is the real deal. He can do it. I know a lot of people like Edmonton because of McDavid and Draisaitl, and Draisaitl was a beast in that series against the Kings. But I like Dallas coming out. I don't think Seattle's going to knock off another team. It's a great story, but I think it ends in round 2 for them. Yeah. And then the East, Toronto, Florida. I don't think too many people had that in their bracket for round number 2. Look, I like the Panthers' chances. I like their, with Matthew Tkachuk's attitude and what he brings to that team. I mean, he showed it in that series against the Bruins. So if the Leafs thought that they were just going to cruise now to the next round, the Panthers have something in store for them. And then Carolina and either the Rangers or the Devils, I think, will be a hell of a series as well. Coming out of the East, if Carolina can find some scoring, maybe this is their year. So I'm gonna go with Carolina and Dallas coming out of and giving us a cup final there.
All right,
sounds like another nightmare for the NHL again. That's what that sounds like to me.
Hey, how about this? Kevin is showing me right now. Snoop Dogg is interested in buying the Ottawa Senators.
What?
Snoop Dogg, Mr. LA Kings himself. Like he's been in the booth with the Kings. He is interested in becoming a hockey owner.
2 things that don't fit: the Ottawa Senators and Snoop Dogg. Okay.
And now he's trying to compete with Ryan Reynolds.
The world we live in, right? Oh, my God. Jiminy Christmas. All right, partner. Hey, tell everybody how they can get Lightning Insider and what the offseason should be interesting as well for the Lightning. So
that's the website, lightninginsider.com. Exit interview day is tomorrow, so we'll get some updates on hope maybe some injury situations and maybe some insight into where some of these guys' minds are going as we head towards the offseason. The podcast is out there, Lightning Insider podcast as well. So lots to discuss over the summer, and I'll do my best to keep on top of it all.
Yep, a must listen and a must look at with the website. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you all season long jumping on with us. Great stuff, man.
All right, thanks, boys. Be well.
Thanks, Kevin, too. Your son there did a hell of a job with our post game show. So thanks to him for that as well.
Okay.
All right, quick break. Chris Lugo's coming up next. We're going to get into some interesting talk about your screen. So stay with us. Quick break. Folks, there is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. They'll make it a fun experience. People come from all over to shop at the Gold and Diamond Source because of their great customer service and incredible, impeccable reputation. No sales pressure, no intimidation, and they have the largest selection of hand-picked diamonds. And by the way, diamonds are the April birthstone. So this month only, they are offering 15% off their diamond birthstone collection, available on just select products. And you probably heard a lot about lab-created diamonds, folks. they hold no real value. You will have no resale value whatsoever with a lab-created diamond. And, of course, it's fake. It doesn't mean as much. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, folks. Interest-free financing up to 5 years, a layaway program, 20% down, and only 6 monthly payments. And, of course, the Diamond Savings Account, where you get full value of your diamond when you look to upgrade. It's all there for you at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Homerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Ladies and gentlemen, are you looking to lose weight or just lean up for bathing suit season where there are so many diets and chiropractors and weight loss clinics out there? You don't know where to start, right? We'll start at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo, PA, and his professional staff will devise a personal plan for you that gets results and will help you keep the weight off. Everybody metabolizes food and supplements differently. Many of these other approaches are designed for the masses. So how's that going to work for you specifically? It's not. Chris will spend one-on-one time with you to find out what works best for you so the weight comes off safely without the use of harmful drugs and side effects. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Pure Sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, you know him, you love him. He joins us every Monday about this time. Chris Lugo from Bay Area Modern Medical Center, trimming up everybody with his new True Body machine. What's going on, Chris? How are you, buddy?
Guys, how's it going?
Oh, life is good. I'm interested more in the True Body machine. People are talking about this now. They're asking me about, does this thing really work, man? Do I don't have to do touches?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's working really good, actually. I was a little pragmatic when I first got it, but Lourdes and I were talking this morning. It's finding the different protocol for that person, what's going to work best for them, someone who's athletic, someone who's not athletic. But it's been working really well. Pleasantly surprised, really and truly.
Cool. Well, so if you're that's something, give me the profile of the person that probably needs this more than anything. Somebody doesn't have a lot of time to work out. What are you seeing?
Anybody, someone who doesn't have a time to work out, someone who's been injured, who doesn't want to take a month off from the gym, someone who's never worked out before, someone who's working out all the time. We're actually doing a model. She's actually coming in this morning. She looks, I should say, completely different, but she's already getting compliments from her trainer who trains her saying, wow, you look differently. So that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. There's so much emphasis these days on plastic surgery, right? Liposuction, all these other things.
BBL. Yeah,
it's a BBL. These are things that, I'll let you discuss this. They're not natural, obviously. So they have side effects just like medicines do. So give me the pros and cons of plastic surgery versus, True Body versus working out, better nutrition.
Well, it all starts with the foundations of health, which we've talked about before: sleep, working out, clean foods, right? So that's the foundation for health. Plastic surgery, I think there's some people who would benefit from plastic surgery for a facelift. You and I are getting old, right? Things are starting to settle. We're losing that collagen. Hey, getting a little facelift wouldn't be a bad thing for some people who think they need it, right? True Body, in the sense that it helps those areas that are stubborn, that won't come away. Hey, I don't want to undergo the knife. I don't want downtime. I'd rather do something minimally invasive. This is really the better way to go.
And the side effects of plastic surgery. They're
anesthesia.
Yeah.
First and foremost. I mean, there's a prominent plastic surgeon or a cosmetic surgeon in this town who had someone die on his table, right? It's a scary thing, but it's always a possibility when you undergo the knife, is that you may not wake up. It's rare. It's really rare. It does happen, though, unfortunately.
And when you do that, I've seen some people that have the liposuction done, and if they don't address the underlying causes and still continue to eat like they do, then your body starts looking really weird, right?
You got it. It's permanent weight loss, just like True Body, just like what we do here is it's permanent weight loss. But if you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner McDonald's, it's going to come back in other places. You're not going to like it. And that's going to be more stubborn and harder to get rid of.
Yeah. I also want to talk about screen time. And my screen time, I'm actively, because you can track it on your phone. I typically up 7 to 8 hours a day on my phone. It's part of my job, but even that, I really want to try to limit it. What are the effects of screen time on us as adults and kids?
It depends. You like that answer, right? It depends on what you're watching. If you're on TikTok all day long, you're mind screwing yourself. I'll keep it PG here. You're mind screwing yourself, really and truly, just seeing everything that's coming across. If you're doing work, you're sending out emails, you're creating content for the show, you're putting together, a new slew of slogans out there. That's a different story. But when you're spending all your time on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, that's more of a detriment to your life. For one thing, you're getting that dopamine rush every single time you're seeing something pop up, just like your instant message that pops up and that little blue light comes on. But for some people, they're getting this body morphia issue going on. That they need to be something different. Their work life needs to be different. Their home life needs to be different. And now they're having more of a psychological issue. We also talked about screen time as far as getting to bed. We used to think it was all the blue light. So you need blue light blocker glasses before you do that, because that screen time is. Yeah. There's been a few studies recently that have been published kind of debunking that myth. They think it's just more of the content that you're being exposed to and not really necessarily the light coming off the screen. So that's still a work in progress on, hey, what's really the issue? The content you're looking at or the light that you're manipulating? Yeah. But anything, you should be shutting this all down roughly about an hour before bedtime. Let your body, let your brain decompress so you're not going 100 miles an hour at nighttime and that you can actually get to bed.
So shut off the phone, shut off the TV, pick up a book, start reading, and you'll be asleep in 2 minutes. That's what I do.
Get a hot shower, get into a cold bed, take some magnesium, take some glycine before bedtime. Poisons in the dose of those supplements. One person's may not be the same as the other person's dose. All those things. Meditate, little box breathing, little, personal time. You don't necessarily have to read, but something just to let your mind just kind of decompress.
All right. Also, you want to talk about semaglutide and I'll let you say the other
tirzepatide. Yeah, Mounjaro. You're seeing Mounjaro on the news. I'm laughing when I'm saying this because I've been using Mounjaro for over a year now, thinking it was always the better one out there because it's combination. But it still has the same bad side effects. People are getting skinny fat off of this stuff. These meds are being hoarded out right now by all these plastic surgeons, all these med spas are all jumping on board. They're pumping them out. They're not educating their patients on how to counteract the bad side effects of these drugs. Okay, phentermine, phentermethazine, high blood pressure, racing heart rate, disturbed sleep patterns. You're getting skinny fat. You're losing lean muscle mass because you're not eating. So, what's your protein consumption should be during the day when you're on these meds? What's your exercise routine on these meds? Because if not, you're losing lean muscle mass, which now accelerates osteopenia, osteoporosis.
Right.
So that's the big thing, that these clients, these patients aren't being educated properly. They're just being dispensed drugs online and, hey, have a nice day.
Yeah. See, this is the difference with what you do at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. You can use some of the same drugs, but they have to be used in the right way. Testosterone's the same way, right? If you're
same exact thing. Yeah. I mean, I tell them, hey, I'm a weird provider. I actually give a shit about you. I actually care about you. And I don't want you having bad side effects because all drugs have side effects, right? But educating that patient on, do you remember Sims clothing line that was on Hillsborough Avenue? They want an educated consumer. I want an educated client. I want an educated patient. I want to understand why we're doing what we're doing, not just because.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, folks, there you go. We can end it on that right there because that's the difference. Most of these places, they give you 10 minutes with your doctor, if
exactly.
that. And this is a whole body approach. And this is why we love chatting with you and you give us great information.
Thank
Bay
you.
Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Go there, get an appointment, and you will be very happy with the results. I'm going to tell you that. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
Have a good week.
Yeah. Always brings up so many great things to talk about, too. We should probably do this earlier in the show. But it's so true because it's become such a money business. It's a money business, and they can just dispense the stuff now out on the internet. You don't have to come in for a visit. You'll never see them again. you get on the scale and it looks like it's working, but you're losing muscle instead of fat, and that makes you less healthy. So you may weigh less, but you're much less healthy, and you probably don't look as good because your body is now fat instead of muscular. So not good. Not good. All right. Our thanks to Eric Erlinson, who joined us today. Our thanks to all of you who contributed today, popped in, Mario, Jordan, Richie P, Jeremy, all you guys. Really appreciate your insights. And thanks for watching. Don't forget, you download our app at FanStream Sports. You're having some issues with that. I know we've had some technical problems. We're addressing that this week. So if you do have any issues, by the way, if you ever do, please email us and let us know what's going on. We really appreciate you. You can also watch us on RHS TV. That's Red House Streaming TV. Download that app as well, and you can watch us anytime along with some other great content. And we're always available on FanStreamSports.com. We're redoing that website, so check it out. My son Cullen's working on it as we speak. So have a great day, everybody. Enjoy Game 7 tonight. Go Rays. Talk to you later.